Space, the final frontier. A place where humanity's aspirations, dreams, and ambitions soar to unimaginable heights. Over the years, as technology advanced and our understanding of the cosmos deepened, we began to see beyond Earth's atmosphere, discovering the infinite wonders of our universe. However, amid the excitement of space exploration, one particular incident has not only shocked the scientific community but also raised uncomfortable questions about the future of space law and the ownership of celestial bodies. This incident, which occurred on the Moon, has sparked debates about international space treaties, the environmental impact of space activities, and the growing space race between nations. What happened on the Moon, and how could such an event shake the foundations of space exploration as we know it? The answers are not only thought-provoking but also challenge the way we view the ownership of outer space. In recent years, space exploration has become increasingly crowded. It's no longer just the United States and Russia leading the charge. More and more countries, including China, India, and private companies like SpaceX, have joined the race to explore the cosmos. The possibilities seem endless: landing on Mars, setting up permanent lunar bases, mining asteroids, and harnessing space resources. However, with this rapid expansion, some troubling developments are starting to emerge. One such development occurred on the Moon, and it has far-reaching implications for space law, international relations, and the future of space exploration itself. The story begins with a mysterious event on the Moon's surface, which left scientists both bewildered and concerned. Astronomers and space experts were taken by surprise when a strange explosion was detected on the Moon. The event was unprecedented. According to international experts, this type of explosion shouldn't have occurred. In the world of space exploration, where precision and careful planning are paramount, this was a problem that no one could have foreseen. The Moon, a celestial body that had remained relatively untouched by human activity for millennia, was suddenly the site of a strange and troubling occurrence. A metallic object had been spotted on the Moon's surface, and it was this object that caused the explosion. As news of the explosion spread, so did the intrigue surrounding the mysterious object. Was it a piece of space debris? A piece of a rocket? Or was it something entirely different? Whatever the answer, this event set off a wave of excitement and concern among space experts. The question on everyone's mind was simple: how did this object end up on the Moon, and more importantly, who was responsible? Was this the result of an intentional act, or was it an accident that could have been prevented? The answers to these questions would soon reveal something far more complicated than anyone could have anticipated. In the days that followed the explosion, scientists embarked on a detailed investigation. They used advanced surveys and spectroscopic analysis to examine the object that had caused the explosion. Their findings were astonishing. It was quickly determined that the object in question was not a natural phenomenon but a piece of technology, specifically, a component of a rocket booster. This raised several important questions about the nature of the event. How had this piece of technology ended up on the Moon? What was its origin? And why had it crashed in the first place? The investigation continued, and the evidence began to paint a clearer picture. It was discovered that there had been 2 rocket launches around the same time that could have led to this incident. One launch was conducted by SpaceX, which had launched a satellite into space, and the other by China, as part of its Chang'e 5 mission to explore the Moon. This coincidence in timing piqued the curiosity of scientists. The question was no longer whether the object was related to these 2 launches; it was clear that it was. The real question was, which of the 2 missions had left behind the debris? To solve this mystery, scientists at the University of Arizona played a crucial role. Using a process known as color matching, they compared the material of the mysterious object with that of the known rockets from both SpaceX and China. What they found was astonishing: the color of the object closely resembled the Chinese rocket design, more so than the SpaceX booster. This discovery led to the conclusion that the object that had caused the explosion on the Moon was most likely a piece of Chinese space debris. While this may have seemed like a breakthrough in the investigation, it also opened up a host of new questions about the actions of the Chinese space program. At this point, the Chinese government denied any involvement in the incident. They categorically rejected the idea that the object was part of one of their rockets, despite the evidence to the contrary. This denial raised alarm bells within the international community. How could China ignore its responsibility for what had clearly been an unintended consequence of its space activities? Could this incident signal the beginning of a larger problem regarding the traceability and accountability of space activities? If nations could launch rockets into space, only to deny responsibility for the debris they left behind, what would this mean for the future of space exploration? And what about the environmental impact of such actions on celestial bodies like the Moon? International space law, which has existed since the 1960s, was designed to prevent exactly this type of scenario. The Outer Space Treaty, which has been signed by over 100 nations, was created to ensure that space activities are conducted for the benefit of all countries and that space exploration remains peaceful and cooperative. According to the treaty, no nation can claim ownership of celestial bodies such as the Moon. Additionally, the treaty stipulates that space activities must be carried out in a way that avoids harmful contamination of celestial bodies and ensures the preservation of the natural environment. When this strange explosion occurred on the Moon, it raised significant concerns about whether these principles were being followed. The idea that a rocket booster, a piece of man-made technology, could crash into the Moon and create a crater was a clear violation of the spirit of the Outer Space Treaty. The Moon, which has long been viewed as a scientific resource, was now subject to the risk of contamination by terrestrial materials. This not only posed a threat to the integrity of lunar studies but also jeopardized future lunar exploration. If we continue to treat the Moon and other celestial bodies as dumping grounds for space debris, what happens when future missions arrive with the hope of studying the natural environment of the Moon? Could all of our findings be compromised by the presence of human-made materials? At its core, the event on the Moon was a problem of traceability and accountability. China's refusal to acknowledge responsibility for the crash raised questions about how space activities are monitored and regulated. In a world where space exploration is increasingly being carried out by a growing number of nations, the need for greater transparency and cooperation is more important than ever. If nations are not held accountable for their actions in space, how can we ensure that space remains a peaceful and cooperative domain? How can we prevent future incidents like the one on the Moon from happening again? The issues raised by this incident are not just academic. They have real-world implications for the future of space exploration. As more countries and private companies join the space race, the potential for conflicts over space resources, territorial claims, and the use of space for military purposes grows. The race to explore and exploit the Moon's resources, including rare minerals like helium-3, could lead to even greater tensions between nations. Helium-3, which is found in abundance on the Moon, has the potential to revolutionize energy production on Earth. It could be used in nuclear fusion reactors to provide a nearly unlimited source of clean energy. However, with this new opportunity comes a new set of challenges. Who owns the rights to helium-3 on the Moon? Should nations be allowed to mine the Moon's resources for their own benefit, or should this be a shared resource for all of humanity? The Outer Space Treaty explicitly states that no nation can lay claim to celestial bodies, but this principle is increasingly being tested. As the demand for resources like helium-3 grows, nations may be tempted to ignore the treaty and seek to secure lunar resources for themselves. This could lead to conflicts between spacefaring nations, with each vying for control of the Moon's valuable resources. While international cooperation remains a possibility, the growing competition in space could make such cooperation more difficult to achieve. In addition to these concerns, the rapid growth of space debris is another pressing issue. As more satellites, rockets, and other space objects are launched into orbit, the risk of collisions and the accumulation of debris increases. This debris poses a threat to both current space operations and future missions. The accumulation of debris around the Earth is already becoming a serious problem. Space agencies around the world are now working to track and monitor debris in order to prevent collisions and ensure the safety of future space activities. In fact, SpaceX has already taken steps to address the growing problem of space debris. Elon Musk's company is developing technology that could potentially remove space debris from orbit, including a vacuum-like device that could clean up space junk. This technology is still in the experimental stages, but it could play a critical role in keeping space safe for future exploration. As we continue to expand our presence in space, we must be mindful of the impact our activities have on the environment, both in space and on Earth. The incident on the Moon is a stark reminder of the potential consequences of our actions. If we do not take steps to regulate space exploration and ensure that space activities are carried out responsibly, we could find ourselves facing more environmental disasters in the future. The Moon, and other celestial bodies, should remain places of scientific exploration and discovery, not dumping grounds for human-made debris. At the heart of these concerns is the need for stronger international cooperation and stricter enforcement of space law. The Outer Space Treaty was created to ensure that space remains a peaceful and cooperative domain, but it is clear that these principles are being tested as space exploration becomes more commercialized and competitive. As the number of spacefaring nations grows, the need for clear rules and accountability becomes more pressing. We must work together to ensure that space remains a place for exploration and discovery, not conflict and environmental destruction. In conclusion, the mysterious explosion on the Moon and the subsequent discovery of space debris has raised serious questions about the future of space exploration. The event highlights the need for greater transparency, accountability, and cooperation in space activities. As the race for lunar resources and the commercialization of space continues, we must ensure that space remains a shared resource for all of humanity, rather than a battleground for competing nations. The incident on the Moon serves as a wake-up call for all nations involved in space exploration, reminding us that our activities in space must be conducted responsibly and in accordance with international law. The future of space exploration depends on our ability to work together, protect the integrity of celestial bodies, and ensure that space remains a place of peace, discovery, and cooperation for generations to come.